Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Thursday, December 4th, 2025. Today, college basketball, NBA, NHL soccer, Thursday night football. On this day, NBA, what we've learned in 2025, news and notes, and best bet. We'll begin with college basketball. We had a big window yesterday. We'll go over all the results, and then we'll go ahead to tonight, which is very light. Tomorrow is actually light too. Um, so yesterday, Arkansas Pine Bluff over UIC 63-62. Lipscomb over Tennessee Tech 83-80. Holy Cross over Northeastern 76-59. Youngstown State over Wright State 69-68. Minnesota over number 22 Indiana 73-64. Western Michigan over Southern Indiana 88-74. James Madison over NC Central 67-62. Lamar over Louisiana 65-55. American over Drexel 75-73. Towson over Cornell 93-80. Dartmouth over New Hampshire 69-68. USC Upstate over Coastal 85-78 in OT. Southern Illinois over High Point 86-84. Wofford over Presbyterian 63-56. Georgia Southern over Louisiana Tech 77-69. Southern Miss over Radford 82-75. Furman over Elon 97-88. UNC Wilmington over Marshall 70-69. Queens over Gardner-Webb 107-74. FIU over Florida Gulf Coast 89-83. Kent State over Austin Peay 96-84. Ohio over Maine 79-57. Hampton over Loyola Maryland 93-71. Navy over Delaware State 66-59. West Virginia over Coppin State 91-49. Columbia over Hofstra 72-70. Northern Kentucky over Cleveland State 95-80. Oakland over Purdue Fort Wayne 101-92. Detroit Mercy over IU Indy 92-78. Sacred Heart over Mount St. Mary's 87-80. Seton Hall over Central Connecticut 77-61. UMass over Harvard 78-71. Akron over Bucknell 97-77. Stephen F. Austin over Texas Rio Grande 73-60. Number 25 Arkansas over number 6 Louisville 89-80. Number 12 Alabama over Clemson 90-84. Those two are both SEC, ACC Challenge. And so is this one. LSU over BC 78-69 OT. Yale Monroe over Miss Valley State 66-52. Central Arkansas over Little Rock 85-47. Richmond over Belmont 84-76. Number 10 Iowa State over Alcorn State 132-68. Alabama A&M over Tennessee State 80-53. Big Sky Summit Northern Colorado over Omaha 75-70. Big Sky Summit South Dakota State over Northern Arizona 75-62. Monmouth over Princeton 63-58. Idaho State over KC 68-59. That's Big Sky Summit. Georgetown over UMBC 90-81. Evansville over Ball State 64-52. Illinois State over Eastern Kentucky 89-78. Big Sky Summit Portland State over South Dakota 77-71. Memphis over New Orleans 86-70. Number 9 BYU over Cal Baptist 91-60. Big Sky Summit North Dakota State over Montana 81-72. Big Sky Summit Weber State over Oral Roberts 92-66. Rice over Texas State 77-72. Big Sky Summit Montana State over St. Thomas 82-74. Wisconsin over Northwestern 85-73. So best bet did not win, just by maybe one possession. Big Sky Summit Idaho over North Dakota 90-58. Big Sky Summit Denver over Eastern Washington 93-89. Pacific over Air Force 80-65. ACC SEC number 17 Vandy over SMU 88-69. ACC SEC Virginia over Texas 88-69. ACC SEC Mississippi State over Georgia Tech 85-73. ACC SEC number 20 Auburn over NC State 83-73. Oregon State over Vermont 80-58. Santa Clara over Utah Tech 90-80. San Diego State over Utah Valley 77-66. North Alabama over San Francisco 65-63. And UCLA over Washington 82-80. All right, like I said, not a lot of games tonight. A grand total of 9 games. 7 o'clock, the Citadel Davidson. I have Davidson 13 3/4. And it is 20.5 and 138.5. I'll take Citadel and the points. Utah State, South Florida. My line is Utah State 6.5, and it is South Florida 1.5. Total 162.5. I'll take Utah State plus the points and minus 102 to win. Rider Merrimack. I have Rider by a quarter. It is Merrimack 9.5 total. 139.5. I'll take Rider plus the points and plus 360 to win outright. That's a lot of points. Robert Morris, Green Bay. If Green Bay by 3, it's 1.5, 139.5. I'll take the over. Long Beach State, Santa Barbara. I have Santa Barbara 13 is 13.5 and 142.5. I'll lay it with Santa Barbara. That's 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock, Bakersfield, Cal State, Northridge. A lot of Big West Conference games. My line is Northridge 9.25. And it's 4.5, 154.5. I'll lay with Northridge. Cal Poly Fullerton. I have Cal Poly 1 3/4. And it is 1.5 in favor of Cal Fullerton. Total 177.5. I'll take Cal Poly plus the points and minus 104 outright. UC Riverside, UC Irvine. My line is Irvine 11 3/4, and it's 12.5, 141.5. I'll take the over. And at midnight, UC Davis, Hawaii, Hawaii 7 3/4, and it's 8.5, 146.5. I'll take the over. But there's a little bit more games tomorrow night in college basketball tomorrow night. By the way, 18. So light for a Friday. Now I'll move on to the NBA. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to tonight, which is a small window. Blazers over the Cavs, 122-110. Nuggets over the Pacers, 135-120. Spurs over the Magic, 114-112. Clippers over the Hawks, 115-92. That was a shocker of a result. I thought the Clippers were going to lose by that score, if anything. Knicks over the Hornets, 119-104, so they bounced back from that Celtics loss. Nets over the Bulls, 113-103. God, they had a couple injuries in that game. Kobe White's out. Rockets over the Kings, 121-95. Bucks upset the Pistons, 113-109 without Giannis, who's going to be out for a little bit. We'll talk about that in news and notes. And then the Mavs over the Heat, 118-108. Okay, 7 o'clock NBA TV. Warriors, Sixers. On paper, you would have thought before the year that was the best game of the night, but that would have been a better game 2 years ago. My line is the Sixers by 4.25. No Curry. And a couple guys out for the Sixers, too. It's 4.5 and 221.5. I'll take... I don't like it, but I'm going to go under. Don't feel good about it. Celtics, Wizards, I have the Celtics 2 3/4, and it's 10 and 230.5. That's way too high. I'm taking the Wizards plus the points. No Jaylen Brown. Like, that's crazy. Jaylen Brown single-handedly beat the Knicks the other night, and now they're a 10-point favorite without him. So stupid. 7:30, Jazz Nets. My line is the Jazz 5.25. It's 5.5, 231.5. I'll take the over. I know a couple guys on Brooklyn are out. Porter Jr. and Cam Thomas, but I'd still go over because of the Jazz. Now, this is the best game of the night. I don't know why this isn't on TV. Lakers, Raptors. Minus the Raptors, 6 3/4. It's 2.5 and 228.5. I'll lay the points with the Toronto Raptors. No Luka tonight, so I don't know why it's only 2.5. And then, last but not least, T-Wolves, Pelicans. I have the T-Wolves by 10. It's 12 and 233.5. I'll take the Pels getting the 12 points. Okay, now we'll move on to the NHL. We'll go over the results from yesterday. Look at to tonight, which is a busy night. Stars over the Devils, 3-0, so they bounce back after that Rangers loss. Habs over the Jets, 3-2 shootout. Flyers over the Sabres, 5-2. Mammoth over the Ducks, 7-0. Caps over the Sharks, 7-1. All right, coming up at 7 o'clock with, like I said, handful of games tonight. Rangers Sens. Same number of points, which is surprising considering it feels like good vibes for Ottawa and then bad vibes for the Rangers. But the Sens are a rightful minus 137 favorite. Rangers plus 114 over under 5.5. Overs minus 120, unders minus 102. Rangers plus 1.5 is minus 225. Sens minus 1.5 plus 180. This is an under pick for Igor Shesterkin. So under 5.5 minus 102. I think this game is either gonna have a letdown spot for the Rangers after that Dallas win, or it'll galvanize them. But then again, what happened? They beat Carolina Lightning game. Oh no, they beat Boston after that in Boston, and they had that meltdown against the Lightning at home. That was embarrassing. And then the Rangers, despite all the drama, have won, I think, 4 of the last 5. So they have 30 points. They're right there in the Metro. as crazy as that sounds. But I'm going to go under in the game. Thought about Ottawa, but under. Blues Bruins. Blues minus 146, Bruins plus 122, over under 5.5, overs minus 122, unders even money. Blues minus 1.5 plus 172, Bruins plus 1.5 minus 215. I am going to go with the Bruins at home plus 122. They're the better team. I don't know why the Blues are favored. Pens Lightning. Lightning minus 162, Pens plus 134, over under 6.5, overs plus 102, unders minus 124. Pens plus 1.5 is minus 180, Lightning minus 1.5 plus 146. The Lightning have been playing good hockey. Being the Rangers. I think they beat the Devils too. I'm going to go with the Lightning in regulation, minus 105. Preds, Panthers, two disappointing teams. Panthers minus 188, Preds plus 155, over under 6.5, overs plus 110, unders minus 134. Preds plus 1.5 is minus 58, Panthers minus 1.5 plus 128. I'm going to go with an alternate under 5.5 plus 122. Avalanche Islanders. The Avs are just so... It's the Avs and everybody else. The Avs are becoming the Oklahoma City Thunder of hockey. Except veteran Leighton. They're minus 178. The Owls are plus 146. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 110. Unders minus 134. Avs minus 1.5 plus 138. Owls plus 1.5 minus 170. I'm going over 6.5 at plus 110. Leafs Canes. The Leafs are very meh. Canes minus 200, Leafs plus 164, over under 6.5, overs even money, unders minus 122. Leafs plus 1.5 is minus 144, Canes minus 1.5 plus 118. I like the over at even money. Canes might be a money line leg. 7:30 ESPN Plus and Hulu. Red Wings. Oh, this is also on Disney Plus too. That's weird. Red Wings, Blue Jackets. The Metro's so clogged together. First place is the Canes with 34 points. Rangers are only 4 back of them. The Rangers did just beat them last week, so that makes sense. Jackets minus 122, Red Wings plus 102, over under 6.5, overs minus 114, unders minus 108. Red Wings plus 1.5 is minus 245, Jackets minus 1.5 plus 194. I'm going to go with the over. Don't feel good about it, though. 9 o'clock, Wild, Flames. The Wild are off to a good start this year. Number minus 115, the Flames are minus 104, over under 5.5. Overs minus 112, unders minus 108. Wild minus 1.5 plus 210, Flames plus 1.5 minus 265. I'm going with the Wild on the road minus 115. I don't know why. That is, I hope that's not the Dallas Rangers situation from the other day. It better not be too good to be true. The Flames are terrible. Kraken Oilers. Two disappointing teams. Oilers minus 210. Kraken plus 172, over under 5.5. Overs minus 124, unders plus 102. Kraken plus 1.5 is minus 150. Oilers minus 1.5 plus 122. The Oilers I cannot include in a money line parlay. I'm going alternate over 6.5 plus 128. And last but not least, 10 o'clock on ESPN Plus and Hulu, Blackhawks Kings. Kings minus 215, Blackhawks plus 176, over under 5.5, minus 110 each way. Hawks plus 1.5, minus 144, Kings minus 1.5 plus 118. I'm getting cold feet with the Blackhawks because I took them against the Sabres a couple weeks ago on a Friday night, and that they lost like 9-2. Was that Halloween? I think that was on Halloween that I did that. But anyway, I like over 5.5 at minus 110. All right, now move on to soccer. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to today and a little bit tomorrow if necessary. So Wednesday results. Arsenal over Brentford 2-0. Aston Villa over Brighton and Hove 4-3. Crystal Palace over Burnley 1-0. Nottingham over Wolverhampton 1-0. Leeds over Chelsea 3-1. Liverpool, Sunderland 1-1 draw. La Liga, Real Madrid over Athletic Club 3-0. Liga MX, first leg, Cruz Azul Tigres 1-1 draw. And first leg, Monterrey over Toluca 1-0. Spanish Copa del Rey. Cultural Leonesa over FC Andorra 4-2. Eldenese over Almeria 2-1. Sporting Gijon over Mirandas 2-0. Real Murcia over Cadiz 3-2. Televra over Malaga 2-1. Levante over Cieza 1-0. Villarreal Club Atletico Antoniano 1-1 draw. Villarreal advances 5-3 on penalties. Orense CF over Girona 2-1. Wow, that's embarrassing for Girona. Eibar over Pontevedra 3-0. Elche over Quintar del Rey 2-1. Real Sociedad over Redis 2-0. And Real Betis over Torrent 4-1. Coppa Italia, Atalanta over Genoa 4-0. Napoli Cagliari 1-1 draw. Napoli advances 9-8 on penalties. And Inter over Venezia 5-1. German Cup, SC Freiburg over FC Darmstadt 2-0. VfB Stuttgart over VfL Bochum 2-0. Bayern over FC Union Berlin 3-2. And Holstein Kiel Hamburg 1-1 draw. Holstein Kiel advances 4-2 on penalties. The Dutch KNVB Becker, AC Alkmaar over PSV Zwolle 3-1. Scottish Premiership, Aberdeen St. Mirren 3-3 draw. Celtic over Dundee 1-0. Dundee United Rangers 2-2 draw. Falkirk Motherwell 0-0 draw. And Hearts Kilmarnock 1-1 draw. If you bet the 5 draws in Scottish Premiership yesterday, boy, did you make out a millionaire. Do you know what I'm going to do one day? I'm going to bet a lot of draws in a round robin and see how that plays out. All right, today we have a couple of finals. The Dutch, Campoyen de Vizy, the Graafschap over Vitesse 2-1. Coppa Italia, Bologna over Parma 2-1. Lazio, AC Milan going on now. Coppa del Rey, Atletico Baleares over Espanyol 1-0. Deportivo La Coruna over CD Sabello 2-0. Albacete over Leganes 2-1. Real Valenciano over Real Alvayo 2-1. And Racing Santander over Ponferradina 2-1. And then there's a couple going on now. EPL today, Man United, West Ham 1-1 draw. I'm going to look for tomorrow real quick to see if there's any games I want to hit on before I record. I'm debating. We can get these. We can hit on these tomorrow. There's a couple of Liga, Bundesliga, French League 1, Dutch Eredivisie for French League 1. Not a lot, but there's a little bit tomorrow, but we'll save that for tomorrow's show. Okay, Thursday Night Football tonight. A fantastic game. Cowboys, Lions from Detroit. Huge game with the capital H. I think the loser of this game won't make the playoffs. Like, that's how I feel about this game. My line for this game is Lions 1.5, total 54 and 9/10. That goes down to a single half if Amon-Ra St. Brown does not suit up for the Detroit Lions. So, who's out for the Lions? You have out Christian Mahogany. Ooh, Penei Sewell might not even play. Holy shit, that's a big deal. Kirby Joseph. Wow, Taylor Decker's questionable too. Holy shit. Who's the other one? Laporta's out. And then for Dallas, Tyler Guyton's out. And Trayvon Diggs, but I think he's an overrated player, so I don't think he counts towards the point spread very much. And the line is 3.5 and 54.5. How about them Cowboys? I'm taking them plus 3.5. I can't believe I just uttered those words on the show. That's based on a pick 'em given out and not anything else. But yeah. How about them Cowboys getting 3 in the hook? I'm going to take it a step further. I think they win the game straight up. Plus 146. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 100%. Taylor Decker, 900%. All those guys on the trader out. I think the Cowboys are going to win this game. And Dak Prescott is going to have himself a day. Now we'll do on this day. Should be fun. as it always is. Um, Obviously brought to you by All Sports News. So on this day in 2018, I can't believe it's been this long already. Urban Meyer stepping down. Yeah, I thought it was 19 where he stepped down, but it was 18, and then Ryan Day took over, and now he's a national champion head coach. And then Urban had that disastrous Jacksonville stint, and then now he's back on Fox. 2015, Diamondbacks signed Zach Greinke. I remember when they signed him. He was, I don't want to say he was a flop there. It's perceived to be a flop. But they traded him to Houston, and he helped the Astros get to the World Series that year. 2018, NHL adds Seattle expansion franchise. Wow. That's crazy. Because I don't think the Kraken came into existence until, after COVID. 2017, Giants fire Ben McAdoo. We talked about the story the other day on the show because that was the Eli benching for Geno thing, and he got fired right after that. Or that game after that Raider game, he got let go. 2019, Philly signed Zach Wheeler. One of their best free agent signings ever. He's a better pitcher now with the Phillies than he was with the Mets. 2018, Ohio State hires Ryan Day, so same day. And I think he was the coach in waiting there anyway. 2018, Nationals signed Patrick Corbin. I remember that. He was a big help of their World Series run in 19, but people are going to remember that as a flop because he didn't live up to that contract. Outside of that World Series run, he was a bust there. Oh, this is a sad one. 2017, Ryan Shazier carted off after severe injury. That was a sad one. That was a Monday Night Football game. And I believe it was in Cincinnati. And he was a great player for the Pittsburgh. Yeah. Against the Cincinnati Bengals. And that is a really big what if for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I want to do what ifs of the last decade. That's probably one of the bigger ones that they've had. Because he was a franchise guy on that defense. He was that good. 2014, Florida hires Jim McElwain. I remember Jim McElwain came over from Colorado, and the job was too big for him in Florida. 2016, Earl Thomas breaks his leg. I remember this happening too. I want to say that happened against the 49ers. Oh no, it was against the Cardinals. I knew it was somebody in division. It was in the fourth quarter of a Sunday game against the Cards. 2016, I remember that. But yeah. But that was really sad. So where do I leave off? 2014, Nebraska hires Mike Riley. That didn't work out. In 2016, Tommy Tuberville steps down as coach of Cincinnati. I really don't remember the circumstances of that one. But that's it for on this day. Now we're going to do NBA 2025, what we've learned. Some of these are pretty crazy stuff, and others is obvious. Here's a juicy one. The Atlanta Hawks. They are a 3-for-1 trade away from being a serious contender, and it may involve Trae Young. Trae Young has become the prize trade piece on this team rather than the guy that people want to go play with. That's how it's changed for Trae Young. And a lot of that has to do with the emergence of Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels. And him and Porzingis could highlight a trade. I mean, winking at somebody in the Eastern Conference. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The Boston Celtics. They're a resilient bunch of players, sans not having Jason Tatum. I think the Celtics have done a good job rallying around the situation this year. Joe Mazzulla's done a good job. I know they started 0-3 and everyone thought they were tanking, but hey, they're actually not bad. They might actually make the play-in. Brooklyn. Sean Marks needs to go. Sean Marks has been awful as a general manager. Awful. I know some may say it's Joe Tsai, but it's Sean Marks too, and he's been there too long, and he's been making no bad moves, literally. Or no good moves, I mean. And a lot of people thought he was so good at his job. He's overrated. Charlotte. LaMelo Ball may not have value like people think. I saw a piece on ESPN the other day. It's like Dave McMenamin and people like that were involved with how scouts feel about certain players. And a lot of negative things were said about LaMelo Ball. And he's a young player, but a lot of people think that he doesn't have value like people expect. Chicago Bulls. Josh Giddey is a long-term keeper. Preach. This guy is a stud, and they are probably going to win that trade, even though OKC won the title with Alex Caruso. Cleveland Cavaliers. They're built for the regular season, if it isn't more obvious. They imploded against Indiana last year, the year before they lost to the Knicks, and they've done nothing to shake up this core. The Dallas Mavericks. They are just as dysfunctional as anyone else. I mean, the Luka Doncic trade says it all, right? And Mark Cuban's still running his mouth even though he's not involved anymore. Anthony Davis is in trade rumors. Cooper Flag was being misused. Jason Kidd's still their coach. I can go on and on and on, but this is a team that's living in the past with Davis and Klay Thompson. And there's somebody else. Oh, Kyrie. That's like the 2017 All-Star team. That's what that is. And Cooper Flag. But yeah, they're just as dysfunctional as anyone else. They remind me, honestly, of the Lakers before LeBron showed up. Or I should say, the LeBron Lakers before Luka showed up. Really? That's what they remind me of. They remind me of the Buss family-led Lakers right now. Big market, big names, no winning. The Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic is hands down the best player in the NBA. I know he didn't win the title, but he's a superhero, and he does it all. I mean, defensively, he's not the best, but he's just a winning player that knows what he's doing. The Detroit Pistons. Jalen Duren is a long-term keeper. He's really put it together this year after people thought he wasn't going to be anything. It just took him time. That's all. Golden State Warriors. They clearly don't like Jonathan Kuminga. They signed him to trade him. He's a lock to be traded, and they clearly don't like him. Houston Rockets. Kevin Durant looks better as a Rocket than he did as a Sun, or even a Net at times. But yeah, being on the Rockets is the best thing that could have happened to KD. He has a good coach in Ime Udoka. He has good teammates, and this is the best I've seen him play in a long time. The Indiana Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton's shot against the Knicks changed the NBA this year. I know people are going to say Jason Tatum tearing his Achilles against the Knicks changed the NBA this year, as it did. But I think the Halliburton shot had more ripple effects. If he misses that shot, the Pacers are not in the finals, and Tyrese Halliburton is not injured. And the Pacers are a contender this year. Tom Thibodeau is still the head coach of the Knicks, not Mike Brown. Mike Brown might be coaching somewhere else this year. Maybe he's the Suns coach. Maybe not the Suns, but maybe he's coaching somewhere else instead of the Knicks. There's a couple other things that I could think about. Tom Thibodeau is still the Knicks coach. The Knicks are in the finals. Maybe they win it all because OKC, let's face it, was vulnerable against Indiana, and they pulled away when Tyrese Halliburton got hurt. And there are people out there saying that Indiana would have won the title if Halliburton doesn't tear his Achilles in Game 7, which is arguably true. They were right there with OKC, and OKC didn't have a healthy Jalen Williams, and the Thunder had the deer in the headlights look to them. So obviously the big one is that the Pacers are obviously not tanking this year if that shot against the Knicks bounces the other way. Clippers. They really missed Norman Powell. I did not think they were going to miss Norman Powell that much, and I thought that John Collins and even Bradley Beal would be a bigger help, and obviously Chris Paul, who they cut. And they're just a mess. And they're one of the worst teams in the league right now, and OKC owns their draft pick. The Lakers. They are going to be run much better with the Dodgers group. So the Dodgers group now owns the Lakers, which makes sense with Magic involved. I know Magic was bad as a GM or president of basketball operations, but he's a good owner. He's just bad at that. So he's Jerry Jones pretty much. And his group is obviously very strong, and I think that is going to change how the Lakers operate for good. The Memphis Grizzlies. Nobody wants John Morant. I brought up that article on ESPN that involved the Melo Ball and Trae Young earlier. Ja's in that too, and everybody's afraid of John Morant, so nobody wants him because of his off-court issues. And he's just immature. The Miami Heat. They feel like the same team, whether it's Jimmy Butler or Andrew Wiggins. I know some may say they're better with Norman Powell, which they probably are, but to me they feel like the same. Just from an eye test. Milwaukee. Giannis Antetokounmpo is clearly 1 foot out the door. The trade stuff started leaking yesterday. Everyone's talking about the Knicks because he wanted to go there. But you can make a case the Knicks should stay as status quo. I mean, there's people saying that they have to trade for him because Jalen Brunson can't be the best guy in a title team, or that's the only way they're going to beat the Thunder. But yeah, Giannis is clearly 1 foot out the door, and I think the Hawks make a lot of sense for him, and I think the Spurs would be amazing. The Knicks would have to deplete their depth, which is unfortunate, but I guess that can work. But I think there'll also be chemistry stuff there as well. I mean, there'd be chemistry stuff regardless where he goes. Even if it was somehow the Thunder. The Minnesota Timberwolves. Julius Randle, Karl Anthony Towns was clearly addition by subtraction. They're the same team with Randle as they were with Towns. And that's not a referendum on either player. It's a referendum on Anthony Edwards and how he is the guy on that team. And the funny thing is with the Knicks, they're better with Towns than they were with Randle. But Minnesota, to me, was a wash. New Orleans Pelicans. Zion Williamson will never be what people thought. This guy, everybody was saying, was the next big star, including myself. I thought he was going to be a stud too, and I'll admit defeat on that one. And boy, did the Knicks get lucky with missing out on him. If he was a bust on the Knicks, it would have been a bigger deal. Not that he's a bust. He's just not what we expected. So yeah, not a bust, but he's a disappointment nevertheless. Knicks, speaking of, Jalen Brunson is a true superstar. On this podcast a year ago, or was it 2 years ago, I said that the Knicks' New Year's resolution for 2024 was to get that true superstar. And I said that I didn't think Jalen Brunson was a true superstar. Boy, was I wrong. They could have made the finals last year, but obviously the Halliburton shot happened. So, yeah, they're a contender now. They'd be even better with Giannis, even though I just made the case that they don't need him. Or it gives them a better chance to beat Oklahoma City. We'll put it that way. But Jalen Brunson, I think, clearly is the guy and could be the number one guy on a title team, despite what the naysayers say about his height. The Oklahoma City Thunder. They're hands down the best team in the NBA. I mean, it's them and everybody else. I don't want to hear Denver. I don't want to hear the Knicks. I don't want to hear Cleveland, obviously. But yeah, I don't want to hear the Lakers, but it's OKC and everybody else. Orlando. Paolo Banchero has become injury prone. I hate to say it, but it's true. He's been out for a while this year. He was out a while last year. Everybody loves him, but he's become injury prone. The Philadelphia 76ers. Their core now and the future is Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. Joel Embiid and Paul George are no more in terms of their now and future, and it's now these two fine young players. Not that Maxey is young. I mean, he still is young, but not as young as Edgecombe. The Phoenix Suns. Jordan Ott is a good coach. He's a good coach, and he's gotten the Suns to overachieve this year. The Portland Trailblazers. Denny Avdija is an all-star caliber player. He is so fun to watch. He's a triple-double candidate every night. He's kind of like Giddey on the Bulls, but better. But what an awful trade for the Wizards. The Sacramento Kings. They regret firing Mike Brown. That team fell apart after he got let go for Doug Christie, and they never recovered. Sometimes firing coaches is a mistake, as Sacramento found out. The Spurs of San Antonio. They'll be a contender before you know it. So, yeah. They have Wemby. They have Dylan Harper. Stephon Castle's made a leap. And maybe they trade for somebody. Maybe Giannis. I hope Giannis. That would just be so fun. The Toronto Raptors. They have a lot of guys, but they don't have the guy. I just don't think Scotty Barnes is it. It's not Brandon Ingram. It's not RJ Barrett. It's not Emmanuel Quickley. It's just have a lot of guys that need the ball, but don't have the guy. Utah. Will Hardy yet again proving that he can coach. I know they're like 6-13 or whatever, but they've been competitive. They play hard. Lauri Markkanen's having a great year. And this guy just does it year after year after year with this bunch. And last but not least, the Washington Wizards. Alex Sarr has improved from year 1 to year 2. I've seen massive improvement from Alex Sarr. And I do think he's another potential long-term keeper for the Wiz. All right, there you have it for NBA, what we learned. Now we'll move on to the news and notes for today. So, how about this? James Madison's hiring Billy Napier to replace Bob Chesney. I don't hate this hire. I think Napier could use a team like this to rebuild his value. after being a failure in Florida. And now the subplot of this is that he used to coach Louisiana, so he'll be facing his old school a couple times. Colorado hires a new offensive coordinator. Sacramento State head coach Brennan Marion will be joining Deion Sanders' staff. We'll see how that goes. Michigan flips a Georgia commit as four-star wideout Brady Marchese makes switch to Michigan. Penn State's class of 2026 is struggling with no head coach in place, which doesn't surprise me. It would take a lot for Giannis to be moved to the Knicks, and the Knicks are also highly unlikely to add Chris Paul. The latter part, good. We don't need Chris Paul. Giannis, I know the Knicks will be better suited to beat OKC with Giannis rather than without, but I still think they could possibly beat OKC how it is right now. It's just that Giannis gives them a better chance. You know what I mean? I just think that OKC showed a little bit of vulnerability last year in the finals against Indiana that should have teams believe in. Yes, I do think, as I said in the previous segment, that OKC is by far the best team in the NBA, but that doesn't mean that they're locked to win the championship. That's all. Teoscar Hernandez's name is in trade talks as the Dodgers remain unlikely to move him, as they shouldn't move him. So the Giants are hiring Ron Washington as an infield coach, the former Angels manager and Rangers manager. And it was reported that the A's were hiring him, but they had the wrong team down. Giannis likely out 2 to 4 weeks with right calf strain. And he was ruled out against the Pistons. We'll see. I'm just scratching my head about that injury and whether it's real or not. And you gotta wonder at this point, has Giannis played his last game as a Buck? Jalen Carter out on Monday night with he got a procedure on both shoulders. That's not great for Philadelphia as they play the Chargers. Lawrence Frank's job is safe as he's expected to remain with the Clippers for foreseeable future. I don't think he's done a good job, but that's just me. Kevin Porter Jr. says that Giannis wants to be there, as he says Giannis is doing a great job of assuring teammates amid rumors. I think Giannis is lying. I mean, what are you supposed to say to your teammates? The Clippers will try to trade Chris Paul, as interested teams are likely to wait until he's released. I thought he was cut already. And it was reported that Ty Lue is at wit's end with the Clippers, or with Ty Lue. The Reds re-signed Emilio Pagan, 2-year, $20 million deal, not bad. And Miguel Rojas, 1-year, $5.5 back to LA with the Dodgers. There was CP3 chance in Atlanta as the Hawks fans were not letting the Clippers off the hook. That was funny. Amai wants a long-term use of the Giants, but he's ace. He wants a long-term deal as expected to start visits after winter meetings. John Heyman says that the Yankees are the favorites to re-sign Cody Bellinger, which is good because I think they should bring him back at all costs. Aaron Judge and Pete Alonso got votes for New York mayor, which is funny. Kyle Tucker visited the Blue Jays as he was spotted at the team's facility in Florida. That's crazy. Caleb Wilson's still behind the big three, as scouts believe that Wilson is pretty clearly below AJ Dibanesa and Darren Peterson and Cameron Boozer. And I really like Kobe Pete on Arizona too. And then scouts say that Peterson is the most exciting, as Peterson's lack of game time not hurting his draft stock. Vandy wanted a 13th game as the Commodores explored options to strengthen their CFP bid. Okay. But yeah, Ty Lue at wit's end with CP3 seemed to like Paul's disparaging tone. And Kawhi and Harden were shocked by CP3 as they were not aware of the exit ahead of time. How about this? Doc Rivers denies Giannis buzzes. He says that Giannis never asked to be traded. Huh. Zion Williamson's trade market, as Brian Horner says that he has next to no trade value due to injuries. Yeah, of course. It's like John Morant. Teams are talking Giannis offers as NBA executives immediately discuss potential deals amid rumors. Ty Lue says that CP3 was not a good fit for the team. Darian Slay will not go to the Bills, as he said going to take some time to decide whether he wants to keep playing or not. And then the Eagles put in the claim for Slay before the Bills got him initially. Aaron Rodgers clarified his comments as he says he wasn't referring to attendance issues in offense's weekly meetings. There's a lot of WNBA free agency stuff that I want to get to eventually. NFL's new field guidelines teams have until the end of 2027 to switch to surface approved and accredited by the league according to WAPO. And then the Robin deal vetoed by National Women's Soccer League, as she reportedly agreed to new contract with the Spirit. All right, so there you have it for news and notes. Last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. You guys know where I'm going. It's the NBA. I'm taking the Washington Wizards plus the 10 against the Celtics. I think that is, the Celtics shouldn't be giving double digits without Jaylen Brown against anybody. Alex Sarr's out for Washington, but I think the Wiz can hang around. So I'm going to go with Washington plus 10 against the Celtics as my best bet of the day. So there you have it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything. Look ahead to everything tomorrow as well. Have a great day, everyone.